Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Well, welcome back, everybody. I have learned so much from him about the book writing process. So much involved. Interestingly, his company, NFB Publishing, takes care of everything from the concept to the editing to the copywriting, potentially ghostwriting, cover art. This one of my favorite things about what he does is the cover art, or his team does, and right down to marketing your book. We're going to talk with him today about some of the new titles and what went on behind the scenes in the writing of these books. And again, these are regular people that wanted to write a book, and he helps you along with that. Mark Pogodzinski is back with us. How's it going today?
Good. How are you?
Very well, very well. So I'm looking on your website, nfbpublishing.com, and some new titles you got up there. So can we take a look?
Sure. So we publish as the books reach completion, and so they have to go through the process. And we try to streamline ours to the best of our ability. You write a book, we get a manuscript, you get a one-page response from us, strengths, weaknesses, and then at that point, usually there's some editing that has to be done before we can start the process. Not all the time, but sometimes. And so then the author goes back, and usually it can be infuriating. The minutia you have to go over. Oh, I missed a comma. This capitalization, whatever. And then we get a manuscript in Word, and we start the process of formatting. And it's really up to you as the author. If you want a graphic around your chapter pages, if you want something simple, and these are things people don't usually think about when they write a book. You know, you're so focused on the creative process. What do I want my chapter page to look like? Oh, I want a swirl. I want a box or some lines or some design. And that's where we come in and give you a couple of options to work with. Even a simple decision of a header footer. Where do you want your page number? Some people like it center footer. Some people like the title and then the page number. And it's up to you as the creator of the content. And once all that stuff is, discussed, and we send images back and PDFs back and forth, and that's actually quite enjoyable for me to find someone when they hit upon it, like, oh my God, this is what I envisioned. It's something new. It's great. Even the book size, people don't think about it that often, but there's industry standards, 6x9, 5x8. But what if you want a lot of images in your book? Well, then you might want something bigger. There's no images, but it's thick, and you don't like the 6x9. It's too hefty. You want it smaller, and just little things like that. And look at your own bookshelf. What books do you like? That tactile necessity. The book has to feel right in my hands. And so all of that stuff has to be discussed back and forth. And hopefully, it's an enjoyable process for the author, because I enjoy it too. And we have to come to some consensus on what you want your book to look like. So that's like a little nuts and bolts of it. And then we start the process back and forth. You get a PDF, you read it over, you find some mistakes, we edit, we go back and forth, we hit upon the correct interior design, and then we start with the cover. And again, can be incredibly rewarding, because the cover is monumentally important. And like the book Nothing is Easy was a memoir written by Audrey Mang from here in Buffalo. She worked as an activist, anti-war, anti-nuclear, pro-poverty, a friend of the poor here in Buffalo, and did so much good work here. And her husband had passed, and they had worked together. And so she wrote a memoir for him, but about the both of them. And the cover, we wanted something special. You wanted something that represented her, but also showed the love that they had, the family that they had created. And the one we went with was a series of pictures. And I think the most telling one was a handwritten note from her husband. And the one right-hand corner is just, "I love you," with an exclamation point. And he had written that to her. And so we did a collage of different images. And I thought that really hit home what she was looking for. And I thought it turned out very well. And I think the book turned out incredibly well. And with a book like that, another decision to make is if you want to do black and white or if you want a full color interior. And again, with that decision is the paper quality. Those are all decisions the author would have to make. We can give advice, but in the end, it's 100% your book, so it should be 100% the way you want it. So there's a little background on creating a book.
It's great looking cover to Nothing's Easy. And I know that you're a stickler for what you do, and I can see that because I just picked up a book, not yours, not from your company, about an hour ago. And the images in the book, and there weren't a lot of, not every page had images, but every chapter had some of them had an image of what the person that with the chapter was about, black and white. All I'm going to say is they skewed most of the photos, so like somebody's face was kind of stretched a little
Uh,
bit. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, and it's a shame because a great concept for the book, just overall, nice looking cover, good content, but almost every photo is stretched a little bit. I don't know. Maybe they only had a certain number of space to put it in, but then if they used it at the exact size what the photo would in its ratio be, may have been too small. So they made it, bigger. I don't know. Um, is what it is, but that all of this stuff is on your radar. That's where I'm going with it.
The pictures can be a little bit of an issue from time to time. A lot of them come 8.5 by 11, that standard paper size, and they have to be reduced
Yeah,
to 6 by 9, 5 by 8, whatever it may be. And as you said, that does happen, and that should be caught in the editing process. The image is manipulated to the point where it's oblong or it's stretched, as you say, and the proof, the printed proof stage is essential at that point. I have had authors who want to skip that part of it, and we won't do it. You have to have a printed proof in your hands to see what it's going to look like when it's
sure.
out to the public. And a lot of people they're in a rush to get the book out, and I can understand that. But we do have to take a little breath. We have to take a step back, and we have to make sure that what we produce is as professional as possible. And the color versus black and white is part of that too, because you will lose resolution. We've had people submit on Word documents and want the picture taken off the Word. You're going to lose resolution taking it there. You're going to lose resolution when it goes to the print. So that might have happened. Hopefully that author did get a printed proof. Sometimes those things can be fixed
Mm,
post publication, depending on who you're working with. But for us, the attention to detail is essential, and especially a memoir like that heartfelt thing.
sure.
You want to do the best where possible and produce the best product you can.
Well, I know with you, it doesn't matter whether it's, James Patterson or,
Ooh.
you know, somebody that just decided to write a book, a regular person. You put the same attention into it. And let's look at another new title you have. Which one you want to talk about?
So an author, and he is from Australia, is Please Let Me Destroy You by Rupert Taylor. So again, we work with international people, and if you look at his cover, he went with a painted image,
Hmm.
and that's what he wanted. That represents his book to the best of his ability. So it's very different than Nothing's Easy, where you have pictures and a collage, and he wanted a single picture on his. So it's a very different feel to it, but it represents his book. His book is fiction. It's a wildly interesting plot line with characters all over the place, but that's what he wanted. And with that particular author, he came to us with the image. He's like, I want this. So again, we cleaned it up a bit, changed a couple of background colors to make it stand out a little bit more. Um, but he had that idea, and that's what he wanted. So again,
Just
we
say,
can
can we describe what it looks like? I mean, we're not ready to show it here at this moment to
uh,
share a screen. Essentially, it's a hand going like this, and the this finger has been chopped off, and the hand is holding the rest of this finger here. But the part I and there's some rings on the hand. So, and it's a painting. It's not, lifelike, but it makes the statement. But my favorite part is finger is missing from this point up. And the text goes like this. It's almost like an extension of the finger. And it says, please let me destroy you. Go kind of right down like that. Love it. I mean, that as soon as I saw that cover, I'm like, we got to talk about that. Talk about that book. I love the fact that the book talks about somebody trying to do a TV show for a network and, just a wild roller coaster ride. But they're very specific. They talk about selling it to HBO or Netflix. So I feel like it's real. You know what I'm saying?
And I think that's what he was going for. Anyone who's tried to do that, anyone who's tried to be creative like that and sell a show would find the book interesting because how far are you willing to go to
Yeah.
sell a show? Are you willing to
Yeah.
give up a finger? Are you willing to do something far darker? Where are you willing to go on this planet to get what you need? So someone will say, yes, that's the show for us. And I think it hits home for us, for those of us who have tried it and continue to try to do it. He really brings it. The characters come alive, and as you're reading, you question like, what would I do to achieve my dream? And then, of course, if you do achieve it, you're like, wow, it's very disappointing. The people I work with are reprehensible, morally bankrupt, as this is what I've become. So I like that. It's a good book. It's a quick read. And again, I was proud of the cover when we got it done. And the image of it, I thought was really well done. Something striking, something you're gonna
Sure.
maybe pick up, which is the purpose of a cover, a visual representation of the book.
Is Rupert a published author? Like, hey, has he been around the block or this is one of his first ones?
He's published stuff in Australia,
Okay.
um, uh, stories and such, but this is his first novel debut, and again, he found us, and we worked together. We partnered up to produce his book, and we've had a number of international authors. And when I started the business, I assumed it was going to be mostly local or regional, and I've been surprised the amount of international authors that we do have.
Wow.
A couple from Australia, Austria, Ireland, England, professor from France who wanted to do his own textbook when he was as a philosophy professor. He didn't like any of the ones out there. They didn't have what he wanted, so he was able to write his own textbook with what he wanted to match his syllabus. So we're able to help him with that, and that surprisingly sold beyond his college and actually made a nice waves in that philosophy world. So that was a good surprise.
Wow.
But the international stuff has been really rewarding, and I've learned a lot about different parts of the world and different writers.
Hmm. Is the publishing process still the same no matter where the writer is or where the book appears?
For us, it is again, the whole part of us is streamlining and making it as easy as possible. You spend years writing the book, like Rupert did, and you're selling it, you're trying to get it, and you're getting feedback, and you get so close, and it can be depressing, and you're crestfallen when you get the rejections after rejection. So we try to circumvent that and help people out as best we can. But we like to keep the process as streamlined as possible. This is what it's going to do. This is what we're going to do. This is what you should do as the author.
Hmm.
And it's not the same for everyone. It used to be you can't get published without an agent, but you can also not get an agent without getting published. So it was a catch 22. And
Hmm.
when I started all those years ago, you would have the writer's reference desk, or the writer's guide, and it listed every agent, every publishing house in the United States, and you'd go through it and 3 sample chapters and a summary, and you're sending it to the publisher, you're sending it to the agent. And again, it was from what I went through, getting so far in that process and then getting my galley copy back and having everything switched around again, that was upsetting to the point of almost giving up. But I
You bring back such a memory of you can't get published unless you have an agent. I remember hearing that. I was younger all the time. Like, you need an agent. You can't get, they weren't not going to publish your book. It's amazing how things have changed, even musically. I mean, I've been working in radio forever. You can't get something played on the radio unless it's backed by a major label. And
Yeah.
still pretty much the way it is. But to get to the label's attention, you build up that kind of fan base on YouTube, and that, if you can work it that way, you can get attention starting at the beginning there. With everything we have today, I don't want to say it's easy, but there's way more opportunity to get your stuff out there if that's what you're looking for.
Well, the radio was payola, right?
Well, back in the day, it was in the 60s, and in 70s, people would pay the disc jockey to play their song. Now that's, long gone. And as a matter of fact, most DJs sign something that says they will not accept it. So now you're liable for it if you do, but you can't sneak a song on the radio. Everything is, most stations with ratings, it's highly researched. Every song they play, a lot of people think, why do they play the same songs over and over? Because it's been researched, and that's what drives ratings, because you're playing what people want to hear. So, if I were to slip a song in there, everybody would know right away.
Yeah.
And you'd face the repercussions of that. So it's not approaching the radio station; it's now approaching the label, and that's where it kind of begins. But look at so many artists like that, like Justin Bieber. I mean, yeah, on and on and on. Ed Sheeran even started on YouTube just making songs, and he got, call it, discovered by doing that. So on the publishing side, somebody could self-publish a book or publish with your help and pick up some traction. People start enjoying it. People, somebody makes a name for himself. You never know what could happen.
And that would be one of our goals, is to help people achieve that greater success.
Sure.
And with us, it's, you always maintain the rights to your work.
Yeah.
A lot of publishers will ask to share it or take the rights for a certain amount of time. We never do that because, again, with my own background,
Yep.
I did not react well. So I would never put anyone in that position that I didn't care for. And I like with the radio too, as you say, with the social media, you can become huge on YouTube or TikTok or what have you. And then you have like, hey, I have 1 million followers who are going to buy this. And that translates to publishing too. Like, hey, I've sold this many books on my own with no help from anybody. You can go to a major publisher. I've still heard that they want more than they're willing to give. But you can do it that reverse way. Instead of being discovered by an agent and being brought through the process, you have created your own market. Then you go to an agent. Well, this is what I'm bringing you. And you can get a better deal that way. It's not easy, as you say. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of social media posting, understanding the market, as you say, and hopefully you can build that, or you get discovered early. And I think it's similar between publishing and music.
Sure. Before we run out of time, Poker Cemetery. That's a new one, right?
Yep. So that's murder mystery. It's the author's second one with us. Dark, humorous, twists and turns in every chapter. Some really fascinating characters created that you've never seen before. And again, it's a quick moving thing, which is one of my favorite things about a good book, that you don't want to put it down and like 2 days later you're done with it. It's the same idea. And again, the author had an image in their head for their cover, and we were able to play around with different things and produce something that they liked a lot and kind of represents their book. And I think, again, it's striking. At the gravestones in the foreground, you got the tower in the background, you got the trees framing it. So we do try to, we take graphic design elements into consideration. It's not, just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. So because of the trees and the frame of it, and then the one tree in the background kind of brings your eye to it. The tree before the tower brings your eye to it. It has like almost a hand factor to it. And then again, the gravestones in the foreground.
Where did the art for that cover come from?
We use different images, image searches, internet. We know to use AI generated images. So everything is either a photograph that we will take or provided by the author. And again, as much as AI is a great stepping stone to an idea, again, the old school mind is somehow cheating. And until I wrap my head around it, that's the way I think about it.
You're
So
talking about AI?
AI, doing the legwork, I think, is part of it. And rather than just like, again, throwing things at the AI generator and getting all these different things, having a specific idea in mind and working toward that image, I think is a better way to go.
AI is just so not perfect, people. I mean, it's got its place here and there, but it's not perfected. I was using it a couple of weeks ago just to generate a quick image for a marketing client, and it needed to be a woman in a gym, say on a treadmill. So just plug that in, saw the images that came up. They look really good, except if you look closely, her arm was misplaced in one, her finger was missing a finger. I'm not even kidding. It's just not perfected yet, and certainly not for writing. Anybody that thinks that they can just throw it to AI and have it write a book for them is in my opinion, sorely mistaken.
I think we talked about before, it's a good stepping stone, a good way to
Yeah.
start. I have no idea. I plug in something and I get something pop back at me. That's fine. I will use the image generators from time to time just to get an idea,
Sure.
to get an idea of placement. But as you say, there's all the different filters, and sometimes it just like that is so beyond what I asked for. I don't know where it came from.
Yeah. Yeah. And that includes words. When you ask for it to generate something, again, good starting point, but it adds so much fluff in there. And occasionally you might have it, as your starting point. Oh, I didn't even think of that word. That word is exactly what I was looking for. So you take that word out and then you incorporate it into what you were originally writing. Some benefits there, but anybody that's thinking about writing a book and really want somebody to hold their hand through the whole process or major pieces of it, how do they do that? They just reach out to you, Mark?
Yep. The website NFB Publishing shows all our recent publications. There's a media page. There's a quick form to fill out. Starts the process. Just gives an idea. Even if you don't have a firm idea, but you have an idea, we
Sure.
can start there, and it might take years, but at least we can help you start thinking about it in terms of a book.
So solid is how I describe the way you work. You
I
really are.
appreciate it.
It really is, like even right down to your website, so detailed, even the descriptions of these new books and the photos and everything, all the titles that you have there. It makes it look fun. It really does.
Ideally, it should be,
Right.
especially that process of creating it, that physical process should
Sure.
be an enjoyable process.
That's the word, enjoyable. Always great talking with you, Mark. Thanks for being here today.
Thank you for having me. Have a good day.
Appreciate it. You too.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.